Hello and welcome. Currently that of 9:55 p.m. Eastern on the 20th day of May 2021. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel. So for entering the 21st day, all bets, trades, and amongst the like, yeah, your own risk, your own reward. These Fibonacci lines that are presented, I mean, they're doing its thing. You can read it for what it is or what it's doing. Seeing here that when it broke down the last time, and really the only time it did break down nicely below the Fibonacci of 55.5, the 55 handle, it kind of supports then resists. Really not even supporting it, but kind of really, but not really. The 50,000. Which you can almost state from the timestamp of 1900 hours into here, the statement's been made, ooh, okay. Unless it can make a breakout above, and I had a whatever attempt here, that's going to be making a move to next key level down, which of course was 43, and it supported there on, and this is a single hour time frame, 1, 2, 3 different spots, then the fourth here, and just grinded there. And then finally it's like, and you could have been looking at this, it broke down of course, but you could have been looking at this at like the 14 hour stamp and the 13 hour stamp, and it breaks down on the 21. So it's just one of those things, it was like, come on, do something kind of deal, and that something was a significant down move, and it supported Fibonacci big time, piercing and a large pierce extra on the 33, but it couldn't even have any action below it for what it's worth other than that short period of time. This fall here, it's pretty much retraced 100%, and it kind of has with this move here of the selling, and the Fibonacci drawn in 42,997. That's high divided by low to the exponent of the numbers that are shown in yesterday's video. So I can't remember what number this one is. Probably the 15 or 23% number, whatever. But still, you hit it, and then all of the support in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever periods. But it gets out above it on the 18 stamp. Again on the 20, and still hasn't done it, but still making over 3 or 4 periods higher lowing this general area here. And the overall thing is it's done pretty good as far as already immediately getting back the final leg, and that's really what it is, the final leg. And I'm going to use a different this is the Bitstamp exchange. I'm going to switch it to Coinbase just because of all these. I don't want to have all these lines on here for the longer term. So there we have it. And on the daily, well, it's still got a long ways to go. Where we came from is pretty much between 47 low change up to about 53 low change, which would be the previous support area. They're in the several week run in which price action was really in the 50 range. Support has been established, matching the major support levels that occurred in January. So the January support levels have been tested with that major move. So now, one of the things that when I was in the early days of looking at charts is when you have a key high, a key low, it doesn't matter if it's an up move or a down move, and then a significant retracement after that. Well, what's the next play gonna be? Are we going to A, see this as a fast break that breaks below, and there we are, and we've had the correctionary move via price, and we're going to be at least back in this range in the 50s, but most likely ascending higher forward. Or we've had key high, whichever one, it doesn't matter which of these two you use, but key high, key low, and we've had this rally. And the rally, it could even, like I stated, because of the rare resistance, could go higher. Is it going to be a lower high, and then are we going to be making a lower low? And then if we make that lower low, well, the price area, that's the easy part. Generally, it's going to be near 20. And then if it goes extra, well, we'll see. But would this be what would be a correction on the longer term time frame? As the weekly chart, well, it's now below the 18 for the first time since it broke out around 11,000 First time it's been below the 18 average of lows since it was like 6,000 and change. I don't show things like the 200-day moving average, but that's pretty much where we're at right now, is at the 200. That's the first time we've been there for like the same sort of period in here. So it's the first decent sized correction it's had, but it's in need of it, and it's even not that big of a correction yet. When we go to the monthly term, yeah, price action came to the 18 average of highs. In its history here, what's it done below the lows? It had this period in here and this little blip here. That's it. Nice little move in here. Like hard. And of course, this is this doesn't have the data from before, and this technically was below the 18 average of lows in here, but at least some of it was. Not much of it though. I mean, the 18 average of lows was like in like this area, so it really didn't even go much below it there either. And within it, if it does, that means what will we do? Come back to here, and do we even think that's going to happen? It could. It also might not. If it doesn't go any higher here, you'd have to think that it probably would, though. At least I would. That's what I think, anyway. If this is the top-ish area, which is around 50, 60,000, which is what it is. But now, of course, if price action is able to have some significant moves, then a significant price correction, instead of coming back here, might be a little bit higher. In fact, if this goes a lot higher, then, and who knows if stuff like this happens, you go like a 500,000, and then you have a major price correction back down to 127 or whatever. You get the idea. Like, that would be a 4x move. And it would also be a price of 3 times higher than where we're at right now, is when you think of it from that perspective. And the obvious situation that I know is accurate is that more and more people every single day are in enough understanding on the fiat currency system, more and more to understand some sort of levels that they may consider to be quote-unquote Ponzi scheme, or whichever term you wish to desire. There's so many great videos out there, and you can only go so long without having, especially if you have a network of like 10, 20, 40, 50, whatever amount of people, that just a couple of those people are going to be mentioning a few things. And yeah, a lot of people will just shrug that information off, and even some that do shrug that information off will for a while, meaning, oh, back in 2016 Mike said this to whatever person, and then 5 months ago, today, 5 months from now, or whatever, whenever have you, they're like, oh, maybe, or maybe another person comes in, or they check it out there, they give it a second or third thought, and then when you get to that situation, and you get out of your currency, whichever local one it is for your country, then what can you get into? Well, the two obvious ones to me is the Bitcoin within, of course, the alternates, and precious metals. But before we get into precious metals, and I'm going to do that, of course, with gold and silver, I want to just show something interesting within the Theta chart against Bitcoin. And my answer, well, I'm going to show against, which I have here, things, but I'm also going to be showing it against the dollar to get an answer. As we're seeing here today, this is, first of all, the trend line. I mean, this is nowhere near not even close to accurate, but you get an idea of what trend this is in. It's small grinding descent lower. And interestingly, it has this little bit of a breakout. It looked like this thing was ready to go, going above those highs. Oop, nope. And then crushes below these two major levels of support, but it has regained back into this range. Okay. So now that it's back into this range, especially if it spends a couple more days or makes it to the 18 average of highs within this area here of like 17-ish thousand low, and it can make it up to like 20,000, 21,000, and it can spend some 3 days in there. If it does that, and we start to see it breaking down, then okay, maybe we can be looking at maybe this thing heading to 10,000 or back to 4 figures. But of course, in this range, if this can hold and stay above like 21,000 area for a significant period of time, that would be showing a magnificent setup. And of course, breaking above this resistance, Gives me the idea to do Fibonacci upside. Do I want to get my keyboard in the... What a fantastic move this was. Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm thinking is taking 3,000 low to this high of like 27 to the root of whatever the 61.8. So find out what this number is, then do this number divided by around this to the exponent of 1.618. Multiply the low again, which would be somewhere near, I would presume, 9,000. Let's just calculate it. And I didn't even plan on doing this part either. Something else I was planning on doing is a shorter term time frame, which we'll get to. Okay, so 3,200 as the low. Ish, and that only was the general area anyway, 27.4. That's 72.72. So the up target numbers, what I'm looking at, that would do the 1.618. 62,000 Satoshi. If, of course, it does what it does. And that really wouldn't be the biggest of surprises if something like that were to occur. Okay, short term. Wild movements. Of course, there's the rise higher and then the fall. Interesting session in here today. What went on here? Before we even see on the daily again, just came back here and sold off. Happened here. But when you keep shortening this out, it's gonna... Ooh, okay. When you see something like that, that's usually just someone coming in making a big buy, and that was it. Price action goes back immediately to where it came from, which is the case here. But when you look at how things were going within this beforehand, it was already in a nice little uptrend like this. It also shows that big buyers will come in, and albeit these are people who probably, if they're going to be buying at big levels, because they bought how big did they bring the market up? 18.5 to like 24. It's close to like 10%. And this is the second time I think I've seen this, but definitely I'm seeing this now. Which means large money came in and bought. But it's probably good long term, and obviously that's why I'm a big fan of Theta. However, if you were to buy it like big stakes, you could prevent these things from happening. And now what I was basically stating is I haven't looked at Theta against the US dollar tether. Might not be a bad idea to see if any type of similar actions look like on that. Then we'll go to precious metals. And yeah, so not really. So that's just a case of one person buying it with the Bitcoin, not with the tether. And I even, tether, I don't even know why. I guess if you're an actual trader of it, but if you're trying to get into a position, what would you normally buy something with? And I'd have to think at least for me, I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum make the most sense. All right then, precious metals. Let's look against the Canadian dollar. I haven't done that in a while. A lot of series of lower highs and lower lows from the August highs of last year in gold. So what's it done since it's gotten in here in correctionary phase, and obviously had a lot of the support broke down below. But what has it done above the 18 average FI? It's barely trying to get out here. Small failed breakout here, and most certainly instant fast move. Then after getting out to the 18 highs in here, it higher lows it, and then shows some strength here amongst the 18, and then a monster failed breakout, which has had a series of lower low, or decent move to a matching low, and then a major move to another leg lower. And then it gets above the 18 average of highs here, higher lows it again, makes a higher high to here, matching low, and now we got a matching high while we've been developing an uptrend. So it's from key time frame from this direction of time. You can at least say it's neutralized the situation, and it's barely or early attempting to try to revert what has been a downtrend and obviously an uptrend from key low to key high, but it's been spending some time on the weekly below the 18 average of lows with lower highs and lower lows. And we're at the situation in here where it comes to the 18 highs on the 19 April stamp, but it's now period 4 since then. And it's holding in there quite well now, trying. It looks like barely trying to attempt it in this stage here. But as far as the movements, it's to me barely been going up, that of gold. Silver, you can make the same case for as well, barely been going up. It's $33 Canadian, and it's 20 something 20 in American terms. It would be 27 and 2/3. So therefore, silver was like $50 in 1980. It was $50 in 2011, and it was like in here, at least in the Canadian dollar, it was like $20. Hasn't doubled yet from the lows, or it's barely almost doubled. It was maybe doubled in here. I guess it was at the highs. So it's only had like a 2x move from key low to key high. And when gold goes off, or silver and gold too as well, but especially silver, when this thing goes off, I think it's going to be a lot like crypto related, like as far as, oh my goodness, how fast the two multiple X moves occur. And what will probably be labeled in a silver short squeeze play. I bought several of those 10-ounce bars that came out there on silvergoldbull.ca. Very beautiful bars. And I just think they're going to happen. The silver squeeze, that is. So this is the Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at it against the US now. And again, 27 and 2/3. And these Fibonacci levels are just like, how do you do kind of deal for the most part. And this is like a killerly amazing setup as far as I'm concerned. I mean, amazing. It's awesome as far as what future prospects look like. You hit this key fib level in August, pullback. And it takes a few periods, which is kind of cool to see in the sense of for setup evaluation. Or then you make it a retest of that level this February. And then you higher low. This is like another cup and handle like here, like boom and boom kind of deal. But situation where you make a high from a great rally point, a higher low, in this case almost coming back to where it came from and only coming to the highs on the front weighted 18 average. And then the retest back, higher low to this. So that's where it gets big. The higher low here, like in April compared to the November higher low. And now it's looking to leave the 18 as it is. Yeah, to me, this looks like the high prospects that within the next 2, 3, 4 periods that has a Pierce greater than 35 and a third seems high. And not only that, but even a possible move, maybe even taking an extra 1 to 3 more periods, which is really by the end of the year, a move to go to previous high, of course, hit back in 1980 and 2011. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.